What's up, YouTube? This is MetallicTCG, and today we're going to be coming at you with a deck profile for Gravekeepers for May 3rd, 2023 at the time of the recording. So recently, over at twitch.tv/Metallicaerox, I've been kind of feeling the itch to build different decks and actually play and test them on stream. We recently did that with Amazonas, which I actually did do a deck profile also for that as well. Link in the description below if you're checking out that as well. And one of my chat members did recommend to me checking it into Gravekeeper. So after spending quite a bit of time to be able to farm for gems and also to get a copies of Gravekeeper Commandant, we have something that's actually rather playable and actually something kind of fun. So this isn't the end all be all. This is the most optimal way to play Gravekeepers. This is just something that I had access to at the time. And also it is fairly able to hold its own. If you're new to the channel, feel free to hit the subscribe button and join the community to be able to make sure you're not missing any uploads. And also go check us out over at twitch.tv where we do a lot of these fun recent things with Duel Links. All right, so jumping at the deck itself, the ability that we are going to be playing is actually going to be pre-science. So I really like this ability just because it gives you the opportunity of the knowledge of seeing the top card for both players' deck until the end of the 5th turn. This is actually really good because it allows you to kind of see what you're going to be drawing, so you can be able to kind of see if it's worth, shuffling your cards with using cards like Gravekeeper Commandant, and also to see what your opponent is playing and what they're going to be drawing into before they actually know what they're doing as well. So it allows you to have that insight knowledge before you make your decisions. So with the deck itself, we're going to go through it pretty quickly. The deck itself isn't that very hard to complicate to explain. Before the deck, I actually only knew that Gravekeepers really had Necro Valley and Graveyard lock-in. That's still true, but they have a bit more, explosive plays, and we'll jump into that now. So we're playing 2 copies of Commandant. Honestly, 3 may be good. 2 is fine at this point. I only have 2 copies. You can pitch it to be able to search out your Necro Valley from your deck to your hand, which is also really good because it does set up your graveyard for copies of Gravekeeper Headman to become live. And of course, also with Necro Valley on board, it becomes 2100, which is pretty solid. We're playing 2 copies of Gravekeeper Spy. Honestly, Spy at 2 is fine. When it does get flipped, somebody can special summon a 1500 attack or less Gravekeeper from your deck. Honestly, you can always go for different copies such as Headman to be able to keep, things going in terms of summoning stuff from the graveyard. You can also special summon Gravekeeper's Nobleman, which allows you to then special summon when it gets destroyed a Gravekeeper from your deck, face up attack or face down defense position. Sorry. But yeah, Spy is really good. And also something that came up quite a few times is that Necro Valley with Spy being at 2500 for a level 4 is actually pretty solid. We're playing 2 copies of Gravekeeper's Headman. So if this card is summoned, you can target a level 4 Gravekeeper monster in your graveyard and special summon a face-up attack or face-down defense position. It's actually pretty solid. So it allows you to be able to get some of your more important key combo cards and also just recycle your resources, such as, reflipping up the Spy or even having Nobleman being destroyed. Or if you special summon Spiritualist, you can also go for your fusion plays. It's really good, but I feel like 2 copies is fine. We have ways of searching out Gravekeeper cards anyway. So this card being very important, it's not critical. We're also playing 1 copy of Gravekeeper's Nobleman. Honestly, there's a few reasons why we're playing this card. So 1, it's a level 3, so it does make rank 3 plays a bit more live. That's something we don't go too often, but it does give us another option for that. 2, it's another spellcaster name that potentially can help make Quintet's destruction effect a bit more consistent. And 3, it kind of allows you to keep, floating your Gravekeeper, such as, summoning Spy. After it flips face up, you can then special summon Nobleman. Nobleman gets destroyed. You can then special summon a 2nd copy of Spy, which then during your turn, you can then special summon your Spiritualist or Headsman, whatever you essentially need. So again, with Nobleman, it's been fine. I wouldn't say this is definitely a recommendation, but depending on how your playstyle is and just overall what you're doing, it can work. It can work. We're then playing 3 copies of Spiritualist. Spiritualist is actually one of the best cards in the entire deck, personally. If you have Necro Valley on the field, you can fusion summon 1 spellcaster type fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters you control and in your hand, which is ultimately going to usually be your Supernaturalist, but sometimes Quintet Magician does make an appearance here or there. And also, of course, with it being, at the 1500 attack or less range, it's easy to bring out with Spy or Nobleman. Plus, you can also special summon off with Headsman 2, and of course, at Necro Valley becomes 2000, which is pretty good. But then playing 2 copies of Mystical Space Typhoon. Again, getting rid of back row is just really good to prevent us from being stopped. And I opted to go for the MST over the other option, which you could use Cosmic Cyclone. For me in testing, every time I've used MST, they've ultimately either had it get destroyed or had no effect or merit being in the graveyard, or they would just chain it and then just get sent to the graveyard anyway. So I figured having MST over Cosmic is fine. Again, both do the same thing and they're both really good, but you know, sometimes you just don't need to worry about banishing what you're destroying. We're playing 2 copies of Necro Valley Throne. This is actually really awesome. It allows you to search out a Gravekeeper monster from your deck to your hand or get an additional normal summon of Gravekeeper monster. Typically, you're going to go for the first effect to be able to add something like your Commandant to be able to get your copy of Necro Valley itself. But then again, you're also more than welcome to grab Headsman or Spiritualist, usually your go-to cards, just because this gets you Necro Valley, this can get you into more monsters to go for your extra deck plays, and of course, Spiritualist can go for your fusion plays. We're then playing 3 copies of Necro Valley. Necro Valley is the heart and soul of the deck. Honestly, just making sure you see it consistently is important to the strategy of the deck. During my stream, I was actually playing 2 copies of it, considering I figured since we had our Commandant, our Necro Valley Throne, our Supernaturalist, we had so many ways of searching out Necro Valley. And of course, drawing to your opening hand is ultimately going to be something that's pretty consistent. However, there have been a few games where it just doesn't come up, and if Necro Valley doesn't come up, a lot of our deck's plays are not going to work. So, decided to max out on the copies of Necro Valley while still making sure we had these 4 cards. So essentially, we're playing about 7 ways to search out Necro Valley. Technically 9 if you include Supernaturalist, the 2 copies. We're also playing Hidden Temple of Necro Valley. So if you control both a Gravekeeper monster and a Necro Valley are on the field, neither player can special summon monsters except for Gravekeepers. And if either a Gravekeeper monster or a Necro Valley is not on the field, this is destroyed. Again, with this deck, it is definitely much more of a control-based deck. So having this card is just very crushing to a lot of decks out there. If you get this out turn 1 or even close early on in the game before your opponent can really set up a board, they may not really be able to come back from this unless they can actually get rid of it, which can be pretty tricky to do. We're then playing 3 copies of Imperial Tombs of Necro Valley. This is just a really fantastic negate card. As long as you control a Gravekeeper monster and a Necro Valley on the board, you can negate the activation of the spell, trap, or monster effect and destroy it. The one thing I don't really like about this, and you guys can let me know if I'm just, being too picky, but the fact we have to control both a Gravekeeper and a Necro Valley, again, not the hardest thing in the world, but the fact that you have to have both and we still have this as a hard once per turn, it's kind of dumb, honestly. That's just me kind of ranting, but it's still a great card. You can also search this card as well of Hidden Temples of Necro Valley with cards like Gravekeeper Supernaturalist, but I wish Konami would allow me to have this be a better negate. For the extra deck, we're playing 1 copy of Quintet. Sometimes you just need a 4,500 attack monster that's a non-specific fusion type, and this fits the bill. All of our main deck monsters and our main extra deck monster are spellcasters, so not hard to get it out. Fun fact, I actually did put in Nobleman initially to make Quintet Magician a bit more alive for the destruction effect. Because if you fusion summon him using 5 different name spellcasters, you could blow up your opponent's entire board. And this face-up card on the field cannot be attributed nor used as fusion. It cannot be destroyed by card effects. Having that much protection is pretty good. Of course, it could still be targeted, but the fact that it can't be destroyed by card effects is still pretty relevant. The more important fusion card that we typically go for is actually be Gravekeeper Supernaturalist. Just requires 2 Gravekeeper monsters against the attack and defense of the original combined levels on the materials times 100. And while Necro Valley is on the field, this card and other cards in your field zone cannot be destroyed by card effects. Yeah, field spells can't be destroyed by battle anyway, but still. During the main phase, you can also activate this effect to search out a Gravekeeper monster or Necro Valley card from your deck to your hand. The fact that this dude can literally search out anything in your deck aside from the Mystical Space Typhoon is kind of broken, honestly. And usually he is on board with around 3,200 when you have Necro Valley, 32, 33, I forget the number. So he is a respectable beast to get over as well. For the rank 4s, we're kind of getting into more some generic territory. Dark Rebellion, just be able to get over a big monster if we can't make Quintet Magician. Number 39, Utopia, if you just feel like you want to relive some of the glory days from Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexal. And of course, it's a rank 4 generic card. It kind of helps be a little bit of a stall card as well, which is fine. We're playing number 47, Nightmare Shark. So Nightmare Shark, I don't really know how I feel about this. There have been numerous times in my games where if I just had access to a copy of Nightmare Shark with the 2 level 3s on board, we could get games. So I was kind of tired of it. So I'm like, no, let's just throw in number 47, see what happens. We're only playing 3 level 3, so it is still potentially, you know, there to make, but, you know, the fact that he can attack and deal half of our opponent's life point damage since we start with 4,000, in theory, it seems like it's going to be fine. We're playing 1 number copy 7 Malevolent Sin. You can detach 1 material, then banish one of your opponent's monsters until the next standby phase, and at the end of the damage step, this card attacked, you can then be able to gain 300 attack and then increase its rank by level 3. Which is actually pretty good, just being able to get rid of your opponent's, like, you know, problematic monsters, and then you can go for something like, you know, Necro Valley Throne, get an additional normal summon, and then just start swinging for games. So number 70 is pretty good, just being a deterrent and getting rid of your opponent's board. And I wanted a little bit more spell and trap hate for our opponent's field, so I also did throw in the 1 copy of Nightmare Phoenix. Really easy to bring out with 2 monsters with different names. You can discard a card, then target a spell or trap your opponent controls, destroy it. Not too bad. And honestly, having the graveyard control is pretty cool too, because you can use Headman later on to bring back what you're going to grab. And yeah, having access to just a Link monster too has been very helpful as well. And with that being it, that is the deck that we ultimately came up with the end of our first stream play testing and having a fun time with Gravekeepers. Again, not the end all be all deck. I don't even think this deck is actually that top tier, but it is a fun deck nonetheless to play. If you have access to this deck, I would definitely recommend to give it a shot. A lot of fun, very control based, but it also can have those very explosive plays. Again, thank you guys so much for watching me talk about this deck for hopefully about 10 to 15 minutes. Don't forget to subscribe for more awesome content down the road. Again, check out the links in the video in the description to be able to see the Amazoness deck profile we did not too long ago with the same challenge in mind. And of course, a link to my Twitch where we do stream Duel Links typically 9 p.m. Pacific time on Sundays. I appreciate you. Everybody have a great rest of your night, and I'll talk to you guys later.